What bottles of bourbon are always worth the money to me? Let's find out. What's going on, everybody? Nathan here with the Everyday Drinker, bringing you guys a brand new video. Today, we're gonna go over my top 8 bottles of bourbon. There's a couple of ryes in this list, but these are my top 8 bottles of bourbon that are always worth the money, but we're not going to include any Buffalo Trace products whatsoever, because that's what you guys want to hear. You don't want to hear anything more about Buffalo Trace. We know Buffalo Trace is good. We know Buffalo Trace is hard to come by, but we don't want to hear about these Buffalo Trace products anymore. We want to hear about the other fantastic bottles of bourbon and ryes and whiskeys on our shelves. And these are the ones that I think are always worth the pickup and always worth the money. Before we get into the bottles, I just want to thank you guys so much for the love and support. We are creeping closer to that 3,000 subscriber mark. And like I always say, at 3,000 subscribers, I'm letting you know what the 5,000 subscriber giveaway is going to be. We are going to hit that faster than you know, so make sure you are subscribed. Also, go check out the Patreon. The link is down below. We are doing awesome stuff over there. But without further ado, let's get into bottle number 1. Bottle number 1 goes to Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Now, this is a barrel-proof product, bottled at 116.8 proof. And this bottle right here is absolutely delicious. If you like that Wild Turkey funk, this bottle right here is fully packed of it, but it does have very beautiful, distinct character notes. I get a very beautiful sweet oak out of this. There's a touch of peanut. It's got a little touch of a dusty Bible in there. It is a delicious pour. It makes a really good old-fashioned, really good mixer for that $45, $50 mark. And this one right here is always worth that money. Bottle number 2. Bottle number 2 goes to Old Forester 1920. Now, this bottle right here is bottled at 115 proof, and it is the old Prohibition style of the Old Forester. Now, I know that this is the new label, and I have heard many people say that the old label of the 1920 or the Whiskey Row line from Old Forester is much better than the newer line. And I've also heard people say that it's the same exact juice in the bottles. I myself don't have an old label to compare it to, but what I do know is that I absolutely enjoy this bottle of bourbon. It's one of those bottles that can go head to head with the Wild Turkey Rare Breed. I've done it many times, blinds with these two, and any given day, any one of these bottles can come out on top. This one right here, it's got a little bit more of a bitter tannic note in there that comes out every once in a while, but I also do get a very beautiful maple syrup sweetness out of this bottle that I do sometimes prefer over top of that Wild Turkey Rare Breed. And let's move on to bottle number 3. Bottle number 3 goes to the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Strengths. Now, these right here are anything to do with banana. I've had a couple of pours of different bottles, and they all have that distinct banana note. Some of them are a little bit stronger, some of them are a little bit weaker in that banana, but they all have that distinct Jack Daniel's banana that a lot of Jack Daniel's drinkers absolutely enjoy. Now, this bottle right here is going to run you about $65 to $70, but the one really cool thing that I do see sometimes on shelves is these barrel strength single barrels in 375 milliliter bottles, and those run right around that $35, sometimes $40 mark, depending on what store you're in. If you are debating about getting a full 750, it's really nice to be able to have the opportunity to pick up a 375 milliliter bottle to taste and try out and see if you enjoy that Jack Daniel's full-bodied barrel strength single barrel that I personally tend to enjoy. This one right here is bottled at 131.9 proof. Yep, 131.9 proof, almost at 132. It's the highest proofed bottle of bourbon on my shelf, and it drinks it. It is a hot sip. It's a delicious sip nonetheless. Bottle number 4 is probably going to be the most difficult bottle for you to find on the shelves. It is definitely worth the pickup no matter what if you see it. This right here is the Evan Williams Single Barrel. Now, you most likely won't see this moving forward in stores because this is a distillery or a Kentucky release only, one of the two. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. Stores still do have these on their shelves. This one right here I picked up for $35. It's an 86 proof. It's a single barrel, and the amazing peanut butter note that comes out of this bottle is in insane to me. You talk about Jack Daniels and their banana note, Evan Williams and their peanut note, absolutely delicious. One of those pours that you won't have every single day, but when you are craving that peanut butter style whiskey that's not a true peanut butter whiskey, this is definitely the one that you're gonna go to, and I will always recommend that this is one that is always worth the money. What kind of video would this be if I don't have a blue note in there? I don't have to talk about this bottle like I do about the others. You guys just know how much I enjoy the Blue Note Juke Joint Uncut, Unfiltered barrel strength offerings. For $45, you can get a barrel strength bottle of bourbon that is maple syrup in some, it's cinnamon spice in others. It's just all around sweet in some. It might have a little bit more rye kick in others. All of them are vastly different, but I have not had one sip of a Blue Note Juke Joint Uncut, Unfiltered barrel that I didn't enjoy. And you know, I have 4 of my own bottles, and I've received samples from other people, and every single one of them I have absolutely enjoyed. I have also not seen one single comment on any video that I have done talking about the Blue Note Juke Joint Uncut, Unfiltered, saying that somebody has hated this bottle. I might see some comments saying that they don't think that the hype is there. Now, this bottle it's not a hype bottle, right? It is a delicious bottle for $45. This is always worth the money. Now, before we get into the last bourbon, I do have 2 ryes on this list that I absolutely enjoy, and when I do see them, I always recommend them to people because these are 2 ryes that are completely different than any other rye that I have had. And that first rye, which is going to be bourbon or whiskey number 6 on the list, goes to Sagamore Spirits Double Oaked Rye. Now this right here is absolutely delicious. This bottle is bottled at 96.6 proof. It has all of the delicious qualities that you are looking for in a rye, but with that double oak, it enhances the sweetness like crazy. It's got this mintiness in there, but it's almost like you're having like a mint tea with a little bit of a creme brulee on the finish. Oh my goodness, this rye is fantastic, and it's running right around that $55 mark, and I will always recommend this. This is, once you see this on the shelves, I recommend picking it up because the next day you are going to go pick up another one because it is just that darn delicious. Rye number 2 goes to Pikesville. Now, I've talked about this rye a couple of times on the channel. Might not have been too recent, but this is bottled at 110 proof. The really cool thing about this rye is it is just barely a rye. To be a rye, it has to be 51% rye. And this right here is 51% rye. Whereas a lot of other ryes are pushing that 70-80% rye, just like bourbons have to be 51% corn. Most bourbons are holding that 70-80% corn. This one right here is a sweetness bomb, but you do get those rye qualities. Whereas the Sagamore had that really sweet creme brulee, this one right here holds that really sweet oak. It's got a little touch of a maple on that back end of the finish. And at 110 proof, it has that proof point to be able to withstand and hold a lot of those flavors throughout the finish. And this right here is gonna run right around $50, $55, and I will always recommend this rye. And bottle number 8, it's gonna be the last one. It is going to be the last bourbon of the video, and that bottle is going to go to Old Forester Single Barrels. This right here is hands down my favorite bottle of bourbon on my shelves. It's better than the Stag in my opinion. It's better than the Blue Notes. Whereas those Blue Notes are the best bang for your buck in my opinion, this one right here is the most bang in Flavor Town. This is a delicious pour. This bottle right here that I have is an Adelphia store pick. They do have more of these at Adelphia, so make sure you go over there to pick your bottle up if you're in the Central Jersey area. Highly recommend it. It is going to run you about $100, but it is 100% worth it. This one is bottled at 126.1 proof, and if you're looking for maple syrup, if you're looking for creme brulee, if you're looking for a very sweet oak, if you're looking for a touch of leather, if you're looking for absolutely everything, this is going to wrap your tongue up, twist it around, give it a hug, kiss it, no matter what. This bottle of bourbon, I will always recommend, is always worth that money at $80 to $100. I don't recommend picking it up for secondary. It's not one of those bottles. You will find one of these eventually, unlike those Buffalo Trace products that we all hunt so desperately for and are so blind to other fantastic bourbons. This right here, Old Forester, the blue label, absolutely delicious. Now, if a store does have this, the Old Forester single barrel 90 proof, the black label, I recommend picking this up as well. This one right here, it's a little bit more subtle on those flavors. Obviously, it's watered down to 90 proof, but it is really, really good. I had this bottle. It was one of those bottles that I picked up and I was a little disappointed in the beginning, but I let it sit for a couple of months and this bottle has opened up very, very nicely. And if I want to introduce somebody to a very nice, light proof single barrel, this is definitely the one that I would go for. So there you guys have it. Those are the 8 bourbons or whiskeys or ryes, the American style whiskeys that I will always recommend as being worth the money for you to pick up. No Buffalo Trace products in this video. Let me know down in the comments what bottles of bourbon or rye you always think are worth the money that are not the Buffalo Trace products, because I want to know what those are for you. I always love hearing what your lists are down in the comments. But until next time, this has been Nathan with The Everyday Drinker. Cheers.